How many people live with you right now?
I have 11 people that live with me.
11 people live with you. So could you tell me, because I've always heard about like the Patels and how they would buy a motel or a hotel and the whole family lives in this building, right?
So if we're going back to like the 60s and 50s, the first Patel, I forgot what the uncle's name was, he moved back to California and bought his first hotel. He immigrated from India and bought his first hotel in California. Mm-hmm. So he bought his hotel, and then what happens is it's just like the Chinese culture and all these, every other culture out there that are immigrants here. If they find a small business and they're not working for someone, they open their own business. Patels were the same way. So Patels moved originally here, invited their family here, sponsored them on a visa, whatever, and brought another one. So he figured out the hotel game. So when he figured out the hotel game, his family came over, his brother, sister, whatever it was, came over. They learned how to make rooms. They learned how to rent rooms. They learned how to do maintenance and small stuff. And then he helped them find their own hotel. Okay? So fast forward that to where we're at now is a completely different game. The whole philosophy is you're helping people. Like Chinese, the same thing. They opened a Chinese restaurant. Their family immigrated from China. They helped them how to run the Chinese restaurant, how to bill, how to use whatever they were doing, and then help them open their own. So this is how 7-Elevens, Punjabis, right? Punjabis have a bunch of 7-Elevens convenience stores in general, right? Mm-hmm. So with that, it's like their family comes in, they know one thing, right? They don't speak English. They barely speak English, Hello, Abu, how are you? Slurpee, please, right? Mm-hmm. You see what I'm saying? So with that, it's like people are helping each other.
With these, with your kids, are you giving them any hotels or motels in this trust?
So honestly, right now, I only own one hotel. So we developed a lot of hotels, and the thing is I've been very fortunate. As soon as a hotel is built, my Instagram and all this stuff and all these other Patels out there, I'm building it, and I've always gotten an offer before the hotel. Hey, do you want to sell it? Yeah, dude, everything's always for sale.
Wow. How many hotels have you sold?
7.
Wow.
Yeah.
Real estate has a lot of difficulties. And those Patels from India that buy all the motels, they know more about motels than you do. They live in the goddamn motel with their family. They pay no income taxes. They don't pay much in workman's compensation. And every dime they get, they fix up the thing and buy another motel. You want to compete with the Patels? Not I.
He's so right. So you're talking about living in a hotel. So again, up until about 9 years ago, I lived in the hotel. My first house that I bought, not even bought, I built my first house. This is the first house my parents have ever lived in from India. So they immigrated back from Toronto and from India to Toronto, and then they bought their first hotel in Crane. From there, fast forward to where I'm at now, up until 9 years ago, I literally lived behind the front desk of the hotel and lived there. So we were housekeeping, maintenance. Yes, 9 years ago, am I still doing the housekeeping stuff? No, we hired finally people. But before then, while I grew up, we're the housekeeper, we're the maintenance guy, we're the front desk clerk, no electric bill, no water bill. It's all paid through the hotel. Property tax, everything is paid through the hotel. This is why a lot of the Indians live in the hotel, because you have no expense whatsoever. And unless whatever you're spending out of that, kids' tuition or whatever you're doing, it's amazing. We saved a lot of money. And what I learned later on in life is, we saved a lot of money doing that. And it's just amazing because, there's nothing you can do there's no other business. So the Patels were not really the first family to do this, to take it another level. What I believe is the Patels were the first ones that were hungry enough to make a living and make a better living for their kids, and that's why they did this. Because then you have Hilton that came out. Hilton came out with a franchise model, and then you have Wyndham, you have Marriott, you have all these other big corporations that were very hesitant to get the Patels into opening up a franchisee for them. Every single Patel that started and originally their first hotel, they're all independently owned. There's no franchise model. We finally got in the game. HOA was formed, Asian American Hotels Association. We started getting into the franchisee portion, and that's where it kind of changed everything on the dynamics of the Patels helping each other out. Because initially, the Patels wanted to help each other out of making a living, making a better life for their kids, of coming into America and doing this. Now we're at a completely different level. And the level we're at now is like it's all competition. Like here, how many hotels do you have? 10, 15, 20? Now you have Hamptons, Home2s, Courtyard, Residence Inn, you have a La Quinta here, this and that. What happened with Hilton and Marriott is they stepped up on who they're allowing franchises with, right? So you have to have X amount of properties. I need to see your, Q&A scores, which is a quality assurance, and this and that before I even give you a franchise, right? Because just between me and you, it's the background of they're trying to hold us down of getting into that industry. But they couldn't sustain of how many hotels we had, and we broke through the industry of getting into Hilton, Marriott's, Hyatt's, all these hotels. The resorts, Patels don't get into resorts. Why? Because you have food and beverage. You have all this other customer service and stuff. We're not used to that. We're used to running a hotel, making sure the room is clean, making sure the guest experience is fine, and we're going through those food and beverage of cooking for them, not the continental breakfast, but actually having food and beverage and then having the resort stuff. But we have hotels now that are jumping into that. So it's been an evolution since we've been here of going from independent hotels to lower end franchises. So franchises are, you have low end, mid scale, upper scale, upscale, upper upscale. You have a bunch of all these different franchise models. And as of right now, we're in all of them. It's a matter of where they're doing, because this is what we've known since growing up and being born into the industry.
So when you say Patels, they would all chip in to help. Has there ever been times where they would help someone that wasn't a Patel?
Not really, because the thing is, it's all very family oriented. So what I mean by that is these people have a connection with someone, right? So what I mean the connection is they're from the same village in India, or it's a family of a family that they're helping out. So they're not helping randoms, but since you grew up in the same village or the same area or district in India, that's where you're helping out. We say, hey, like we've had random people stay at our house when I was living in Toledo. We'd had, hey, this is this person's, and they're coming in. They just moved from India. They're staying in our hotel for a month or two, and then you're welcoming in. You're very open, right? Because the background, the thing is, having arranged marriage and stuff. The whole reason I wanted that was because I wanted the culture of what I grew up with. I grew up in a small hotel room with my grandfather, and I knew that my parents were taking care of my grandfather. When I grew older and I wanted to get married and all this stuff, I wanted to make sure I had that culture for my kids too. And not just that, it's like, I'm going to take care of my parents until they die. You know what I mean? They're not moving out. There's no in India, if you look, there's no retirement home. This is the whole thing. There's no retirement home, right? You're not shipping your parents off, right? And we're also not the philosophy of, hey, you're 18, you graduate, and you're out of the fucking house, right?
Yeah.
I don't believe in that, right? Mm-hmm. How are you growing someone to be caring individual, right? To care for others if you're not doing that at home? 18, you're out of the house. Like that fathoms me of how people do that. And reversing that, when I was 18, it was like, dude, I don't know what the fuck I was doing. Like, dude, 18, you're putting me out on my own. I got to fend for myself. Of course, I'm not going to have any Maya or any, how do I put it in English? Like, I don't have any attachment. Like, I have an attachment with my parents, but there's not that bond that here at 18, I got kicked out. And, just saying, like, from the psychology perspective of 18, I'm kicked out of the house, or I have to, fend for my own. You don't even know what the fuck you want to do for the rest of your life. And, especially like going to college, freshman year. 18 years old, and like, here, what am I going to do with my life? I have no experience. I don't know what I'm doing. So how are you taking an immature myself of telling me what I'm going to do for the rest of my life, and I got to make a decision right now? I'm getting kicked out of the house. So my thing is, I got to fend for myself. If this was the case, it wasn't my case, but what I'm saying is, people in that situation, they have to fend for themselves, and then figure out what they're going to do with the rest of their life. Mm-hmm. So if you have that mentality, then you're not a failure, but they got to fend for. They're either going to sink or swim.